Good evening. Welcome to Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita session. Radhe Radhe Nitinji, over to you.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Pallavi ji. Welcome. Good morning, good evening to everyone. And welcome to today's edition of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. Thank you, Gayatri ji and Padma ji, for a wonderful session, like always. So let's get started with our opening prayers. We will do 4.21 today and continue on the discussion that we are having. This chapter is talking about action in inaction, inaction in action, akaram, vikaram, karam, all these concepts. So tomorrow we are going to do a recap of all the concepts that we have discussed so that we have really understood it and are on the same page and not getting lost with where we are and what we were discussing. So we will do that recap as well. But today we will continue on 4.21 and it is going to reinforce the concept that we are discussing, but we will go really deep into that so that it sticks. So let's get started with our opening. Give me a sec, I'll share my screen. Okay, able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we'll get started with our opening prayers then. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. All right. Radhe Radhe, very warm welcome once again to all of you. So let's get started with shloka. I'm going to recite always to follow along. Nirashiryat chittatma tyakta sarva parigraha shariram kevalam karma kurvannapnoti kilvisham. All right.
Yeah, Sam Ji is first today, huh? Radhe Radhe, Sam Ji, please go ahead.
निराशीर्यत चित्तात्मा त्यक्त सर्व परिग्रहः शारीरं केवलं कर्म कुर्वन्नाप्नोति किल्बिषम्.
Very nice.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. There are very few people who can beat Surendraji when he raises his hands, and you are one of them. So congratulations. All right. Let's continue.
Radhe Radhe, Sandhya Ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Sandhya.
Nirashiyat chittatma tyakti sarva parigraha shariram kevalam karma kurvannapnoti kilbisham.
Wonderful. Very nice, Sandhya.
Surinder Ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Surendraji.
Radhe Radhe Prabhu, thank you. Nirashriya chit atma tyakt sarva parigraha shariram kevalam karma kurvanam to noti kilvisham. Radhe
Thank
Radhe.
you, Surendraji. Radhe Radhe. Nirashiryat chittatma. Very nice.
Chittatma. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Right.
Ashutosh Ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Toshi.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
निराशीर्यत चित्तात्मा त्यक्त सर्व परिग्रह शारीरं केवलं कर्म कुर्वन्नाप्नोति किल्बिषम्.
Wonderful. Very nice, Ashutosh Ji.
Dinesh Ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Ji.
निराशीर्यत चेतात्मा त्यक्त सर्वपरिग्रहः शारीरं केवलं कर्म कुर्वन्नाप्नोति किल्बिषम्.
Very
राधे
nice,
राधे.
Dineshi. Wonderful. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Palji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Palji.
राधे राधे निराशीर्यत चेतात्मा त्यक्त सर्व परिग्रह शारीरं केवलं कर्म कुर्वन्नाप्नोति किल्बिषम्. राधे
Very
राधे
nice, Palji. Radhe Radhe.
Samji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
राधे राधे.
Okay.
निराशीर्यत् चित्तात्मा त्यक्त सर्व परिग्रह शरीरं केवलं कर्म कुर्वन्नाप्नोति किल्बिषम्. राधे
Very
राधे.
nice, Samji. Radhe Radhe. Wonderful. Okay. Today we
Yeah,
have
Shyamji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Shyamji.
राधे राधे.
Radhe Radhe.
निराशीर्यत चित्तात्मा त्यक्त सर्व परिग्रह शारीरं केवलं कर्म कुर्वन्नाप्नोति किल्बिषम्. राधे राधे.
Wonderful, Shyamji. Your audio cooperated completely. So very nice. Good sign for the day. Okay.
Yeah, Shri Ramya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Ramya.
राधे राधे निराशीर्यत चित्तात्मा त्यक्तात् सर्वा परिग्रहा शरीरं केवलं कर्म कुर्वन्नाप्नोति किल्बिषाम्.
Very nice, Shri Ramya. Wonderful. All right, you can take.
Yes, Sumesh ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Sumeshi.
Radhe Radhe everyone. निराशीर्यत चित्तात्मा त्यक्त सर्व परिग्रहः शारीरं केवलं कर्म कुर्वन्नाप्नोति किल्बिषम्. राधे राधे.
Very nice, Sumeshi. Your audio caught a bit of the same virus that Shyamji's audio has, but you did all right. Turned
Yeah.
out all right finally.
Yeah, bit voice was breaking. Yeah. Thank you, Sumesh ji.
Thank you, Sumeshi. Okay. we can
Lakshmi
take
ji,
it. Very
Radhe
nice.
Radhe, please go ahead.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe everyone.
Radhe Radhe.
निराशीर्यत चित्तात्मा त्यक्त सर्व परिग्रह शारीरं केवलं कर्म कुर्वन्नाप्नोति किल्बिषम्.
Very nice.
Radhe Radhe.
Lakshmi ji. Radhe Radhe. Okay, we can take the remaining hands real quick.
Yes, Meenakshi ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
राधे राधे
Radhe.
निराशीर्यत चित्तात्मा त्यक्त सर्व परिग्रहः शारीरं केवलं कर्म कुर्वन्नाप्नोति किल्बिषम्. राधे
Beautiful.
राधे.
Very nice, Meenakshi ji. Radhe Radhe. Okay, 3 more hands. And then
Yes, Venkat ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Nitin ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe
Pallavi
Radhe
ji.
ji.
निराशीर्यत चित्तात्मा त्यक्त सर्व परिग्रहः शारीरं केवलं कर्म कुर्वन्नाप्नोति किल्बिषम्.
Very nice, Venkat ji. Beautiful. All right.
Yes,
Last two.
Ragi ji, yes. Radhe Radhe, please go.
राधे राधे निराश्रयचित् आत्मा त्यक्तं सर्वपरिग्रह शारीरं केवलं कर्म कुर्वन्नाप्नोति किल्बिषम्.
Very nice, Pragi ji.
Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Very nice. Okay, last
Yes.
but not least, Kumar ji, please go ahead.
Yes, Kumar ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, everyone. Nirashiyat chittatma tyakta sarva parigraha shariram kevalam karma kurvannapnoti kilbisham.
Wonderful. Very nice. Thank you, Kumar ji. So let's get started. Nirashi means free from expectations. Yata, controlled. Chittatma, mind and intellect. Tyakta, having abandoned. Sarva, all. parigraha, the sense of ownership, shariram, bodily, kevalam, only, karma, actions, kurvan, performing, na, never, apnoti, incurs, kilbisham means sin. So the short translation for this shloka goes like, free from expectations and the sense of ownership, with mind and intellect fully controlled, they incur no sin, even though performing actions by one's body. Now we've been talking about actions. Actions, they are performed by the body, and actions are binding. Right? This is the concept we've been talking about. Anything that is performed by body is an action whereby body, mind, basically, and senses are involved. That is an action. Now, today we are going to look at the concept, what is it that enables these people to not incur a sin, even though they are performing actions like all of us? What is that X factor that is enabling them not to incur a sin? Now, definition of sin is anything which is binding karma. Okay, you may say good karma is not a sin, but I would extend that definition even to good karma, saying anything that is binding and not liberating is a sin. Okay? So for all the good intentions, good work, stuff that we intend to do, that is still binding. Okay? So what is it that these people are able to do, and how that enables them to not incur a sin? In the shloka, if you look at it, there are a few things that Lord Krishna is talking about. He's saying free from expectations and sense of ownership, and then with mind and intellect fully controlled. What is it that is enabling them to be free from the sense of proprietorship? It's very difficult for us to let go of that, right? I am doing it. I need to enjoy that. I feel so. I think so. So it should be like this. That I part, that sense of proprietorship around everything. How is it that they are able to rise above that, which we struggle with? And free from expectations. That is a key thing as well. So what is it that they are able to tweak in their head? What is that key that they are able to turn, which enables them to do that? This is a concept we will discuss today. So let's get started. We will take a bit of a tangent. You will say, what is going on? This is Bhagavad Gita, and what are we discussing? Hit and run. Okay, it will all tie together, so don't worry. Just have a bit of trust and faith around it. Okay, hit and run. You think it's good or bad? Okay, we're not going to have a bit discussion. Right? BMW case happened. Mr. Salman Khan also had a case going on for him for so many years. Finally, he was acquitted. Hit and run. It's of course not good. Right? Because you first hit somebody and then you have run as well. Yes, Samji, you wanted to add something? You have an alternate thoughts? You'll have to unmute yourself. Sorry. I'll unmute.
Yes, Samji.
Hit and run, it can be both ways. In the traffic, if you hit the car and you run, that's a bad thing. But in the cricket, if you make a hit,
wonderful.
Sixer, four, sixer, and you run, make the runs.
You know, I have a feeling, Samji, that you have gotten some siddhis now. And where I'm going to put on the screen, you are able to anticipate it in advance. Yeah, hit and run depends actually. Right? Is it good or is it bad? In baseball, tennis, cricket, people hit and then they run, which is a good thing, like Samji said. However, if you do it in a car, it's not a good thing. As law would tell you, if you think it's a good thing, law will tell you it's not a good thing. So yeah, it depends. But typically, if somebody hits somebody and then runs, it is illegal, and you could land in serious trouble around that. So let's look at something similar. We'll build on that. Now, here is a guy who hit somebody. Let's say he did not run, simply hit somebody. Okay, run was the slam dunk illegal stuff, because you first of all injure somebody and then you abscond from the scene. Basically, that is like running away from your responsibility around that time as well. So let's say somebody hit somebody and he's accused. Okay, now he's accused. Because of that, obviously there has to be some kind of a case against this person. guilty or not guilty. Now, what will determine whether the offense that this person committed was culpable or not? Okay. Just because somebody hit somebody doesn't mean, unless we have established something around it. Okay. Yes, Kumarji? Real quick. No, we are not
Yes,
going to
Kumarji. Yeah.
discussion on this.
Radhe, Radhe. Yeah, please go.
Radhe, Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, the intention.
Yeah, beautiful. Very true. So if you look at it, even in material court of law, the world's court of law, is an accused who's going to stand at trial, right? And then you have a policeman who would have caught him and brought him to the court or the jail. Then you have a judge who's going to pronounce a judgment. Then he may have a lawyer who's going to fight his case. Hope you're with me. Then you have a jury who's going to give the verdict. Okay, in India, you don't have a jury system. We go by the same system which Britishers had. We've not revised it, but in US, you have a jury system, by the way. And then you have a witness also who has seen all these actors, they come into play. Now, the whole idea of looking at this accused is to establish the motive or the intention behind that act. What was the intention of that guy? Was that guy drunk? And he, then it could become a case of an homicide because he was in an inebriated state, and it is irresponsible to drive in road when you do that. Or that person was a law-abiding citizen, similar to that person who will not even cross the signal, even though the policeman is telling them. Right? That could be the case as well. And this person is driving in his lane, within the speed limits, everything is perfect, but somebody might have accidentally jumped in front of them. That is also a possibility, right? Where the intent was not at all to hit anybody. It can happen too. I was in Charlotte a few years back, and I was warned that people can actually do that. They can jump in front of your car, and then for the rest of their lives, they will become your liability. You have to feed, entertain, and take care of them. Okay, it can happen as well. Anyways, the question point here being, you have to establish the intent behind that act. It's not just the act. Okay, hope you agree with me. We are talking about action, what we do externally, what happens. And we've been talking about the intention or the motive behind that act. That is the concept we are discussing. So even in material world, we try to establish the motive behind every action that happens. Right? In this case, what was the motive? That is the whole premise of this case, whether this person will be pronounced guilty or not. Now let's look at it further. How many failure points do we have here? It will start with the accused. Accused might have done it with an intention to hurt somebody, or he might have been drunk. But then, they may refuse to accept that, as it happens. We see, right, every day in news, people, they refuse, they don't admit their guilt at all. So first failure point, that can possibly happen. Then what else can happen? The policeman could be corrupt as well. You can bribe them or buy them to give a basically, basically you can get them on their side, right? We can happen. So that is the second failure point. Then of course you can buy the witnesses also, the jury also. It can happen. You can influence them, especially if you are somebody, a bigwig. It can happen. And if you start getting political support and stuff like that, those things can happen. Lawyer also, you can influence them, buy them, and anyway, the criminal lawyers, that is the whole idea behind, finding the loopholes in the laws and ways to protect criminals. And then of course the judge can be influenced as well. So many failure points are there, right? Even though the intention was there to kill somebody, but then you have so many failure points which are vulnerable, and they could actually go against the true motive, right? So even though the motive was to hurt somebody or kill somebody, still in the world mistakes can happen because you have so many failure points. As we see so many verdicts, we know for a fact it's like a laughing stock, some of the cases. It happened, but still over years, the witnesses, they turn hostile, the witnesses are bought, and those kind of things can happen. Now let's move further. Same case. Somebody did something, accused, policeman, judge, lawyer, all that stuff. Now it's not a case of an accident. Let's say it's a case of our life. Now you're standing in front of Chitragupt there. Okay, now this is a case. They say life is a preparation and death is an examination. So you are standing in this courthouse. Similarly, you will have all these actors coming into play. And in the court of God, God's court, when you go and we are answerable to God, right? At end of life, God says, all right, I gave you human birth. Now let me take stock of your report card, what you did. Okay, so when he opens up your report card, in this case, let's look at it. What happens? God is the policeman, he's the witness, he's the jury, he's the lawyer, and he's the judge. There is absolutely no scope of influencing him or having that failure point. He doesn't need anybody's support to know whether what you claim you did was right or not. He's noting down everything, right? So there's absolutely no way you can escape karma. And the intention. So intention, people in the world can influence that, or they can buy people around and prove that their intention was pure, even though it was impure. But in case of God, you can't really escape that. So any act that we perform with an impure intention, we can fool the world, but we cannot fool God. People do that. They come across as very innocent. They will do hanky-panky stuff, and then they will feign, they will pretend to be very innocent. They have not done anything, or they will even justify themselves. They will not even admit to themselves and say, I was right because of so and so reason. But in court of the God, he knows the deepest of the deepest of the deepest intentions, desires, and the motives that we have behind every act, and nothing can escape that. So that is why he's called God. Why? Because he knows pratyek lives, pratyek sankalp of pratikshan. For every seconds, every resolve of every life, he has an account of that. That is who God is. Okay. Kshiro Dakshai Vishnu, by the way, if he needs further introduction, which is Tritya Purush. Janak, or the father of Kshiro Dakshai, is Garbho Dakshai, which is Dvitiya Purush. Janak, or the father of Garbho Dakshai, is Karno Dakshai, which is Mahavishnu. Janak, or the father of Karno Dakshai, is Krishna, who simply does Premdan. He has delegated it to his plenary expansions, all the administration of the universe. All he does is play a flute and chant. People give Premdan, do Daya, mercy, right? And in fact, he doesn't even take avatars. He just resides in Vrindavan. Occasionally, he takes Purna avatar, and the one which happened 5,000 years back was a Purna avatar of Lord Krishna. Otherwise, he takes Vishnu avatar, like they say, right? Rama avatar, Krishna avatar, comes through a Vishnu, basically, one of his plenary expansions. But the Purna avatar in a Krishna form happens once in a while, and the one that happened 5,000 years back was one of them as well. Now, the point here being, it's the intention or the motive that is the most important thing in life. When we do something, what was my intention behind that act? That defines whether you have done karma, vikarma, akarma, right? That determines whether you have done action in inaction or inaction in action. It's very simple. We're going to revise that tomorrow, by the way. Okay. Now let's look at a case study today. Now, this is pretty interesting, right? God is a witness, jury, everything is God. So that is how it goes. So there's no fooling around with Chitraguptji, and God, that he's created a system where even his subordinates who are who are tasked with running the administration, they have that perfection too. It's not like in Chitragupt's record we go and overwrite something and rubber stamp it there. No, it cannot happen. He goes by the records of Kshirodakshai Vishnu, which is like the case file is preserved for you. So we got to really check our intention behind everything that we are doing. First of all, get in touch with your reality. We simply think the act that we have done is good enough. No, that's not good enough. What was the motive behind it is the key. What was the intention behind it is the key. Now let's look at one example in real life that you'll be able to relate to see what happened. So anyways, we'll get into that. But now the point here is, even according to worldly law, as we saw, acts of violence that happen accidentally, they are not considered punishable offenses. If somebody is driving a car, in this case, like in the correct lane, correct speed, and somebody suddenly comes in, then it is not. Even the court of law will acquit him, because provided it can be proved. But in case of God, he doesn't need a proof. He is the proof himself. Right? So the key here is, it is the intention of the mind that is of primary importance and not the action. That is the key. In world, you may get credit for action, but in court of law of God, it is not the action, but the intention behind it. Now, what is integrity? There's an interesting definition of integrity as well. Coherence in thought, speech, and action. When all three are incongruent, then it is called integrity. One of it is not integrity. That means you are putting on a face, trying to have some kind of a thing. So when that congruent, that will come across, right? They say eyes are the windows to your soul. Somebody can be smart once, twice, thrice, but nobody can be too smart for the world, for a long period of time. And that is why God says you keep on purifying your intention. That is the only way to success, both materially as well as spiritually. Even in the world, people get sorted out. People who are shrewd, right, who try to take advantage of others, they may get lucky a few times, but over time they get sorted out. Or our heart radiates an electromagnetic waves as well. Those vibes are so strong that you will catch it. There are times, right, you come across people, you just pick up the vibe. Something is disconcerting. Why? Because they have just too much brewing up inside them. So it is important to declutter our mind and keep on purifying our intention. That will enable us to come across as somebody who's reliable, trustworthy, and God is pleased. More important than that, he says, Nirmal, where does God reside? Urpur, he said, right? And which Ur? Which is clean. Nirmal, Swachh. So simplicity, having integrity, clear mind, good intentions, these are all virtues that will serve us in good stead in long run, both materially as well as spiritually. So it all starts with intention. Now let's continue. Now, for saints, they say the mystics who work in divine consciousness, they are released from all sins. That is what Lord Krishna is talking about. They are released from all sins. They don't incur any sin, even though they are performing acts with this body like we all do. Why don't they incur any sin? Because they are free from attachment, they are free from proprietorship, and every act is performed with the divine intention of pleasing God. Their mind is yoked to the feet of God. Yoked to the feet of God. It's not yoked to relatives, friends, world, and stuff like that. Those things are there at the background. You, of course, need to have an understanding to operate effectively, but their mind space is not occupied by worldly things. It is occupied, it is always yoked to God's feet. They always, somehow they reach that stage where they have that big picture in mind always. That's an aspirational state for all of us, of course. And because of that, they are not incurring any sin, even though they are carrying out the same duties as we are doing, because they are free from attachment and the sense of proprietorship. And that can happen only when you have yoked your mind to something bigger than, higher than the world itself. Otherwise, it will not happen. There's so many things to take our mind space away, right? So that is the key principle of spirituality. And it is called akarma. Let's revisit this definition again. Their karma is multiplied by 0, which is called inaction also. Action is where you are adding karma. Inaction is where you're simply multiplying it by 0. You are not incurring any more binding karma whatsoever. Plus, you are purifying your mind by attaching it to God and taking another step towards God realization. That is the beauty or the advantage of practicing akarma or karma yoga. Okay. Now let's look at hopefully the slide will cooperate. I thought it was the previous one, it was not. So now I'll see that. I keep forgetting what I did. So now it is going to come. Let's look at an example of real life so that we can relate to this concept. Here is a gentleman. Does anybody know who he is? Certainly not one of the participants. Okay, so don't even try that. Does anybody know who he is? Yes, I can hear Sam G lip syncing.
Yes, Satyam, see you.
That's right. It is Mr. Ramalinga Raju. Okay, so let's look at his story briefly. So this gentleman, let's look at his accolades. He's an MBA from Ohio. Okay, pretty great, good university. And then he's the owner and president. He enrolled for that program at Harvard Business School. So pretty smart guy, if you think, educated, smart guy. And he founded Satyam, which was the vanguard, one of the vanguards of IT revolution in India. Big enterprise that he created. However, let's look at some of the things which are not medal worthy. He swindled 10,000 crore rupees, $1.3 billion. How did he do that? He would create fake payrolls that, okay, they are employees, and keep siphoning money to his personal accounts, to his friends and families, doing some acquisitions and stuff like that. So basically, he started fudging numbers. And then when he was, furthermore, when he was caught, how much he had villas and properties in 60 countries, 16 luxury cars. Okay. And interestingly, 300 pairs of shoes also. It's an interesting trivia. Okay, that much he had collected when he was caught. Unfortunate, right, for a guy of his stature. Finally, he was convicted in 2015. He was sent to jail. Now, this guy, if you look at it, let's have a quick discussion before we move further. Where did he really err? Where did the mistake happen? Now, he could argue that what I was doing was to advance, I was actually chasing success in life or trying to preserve the success that I had. That might be one of his argument. But let's say for the sake of argument, first let's discuss where did he err. That's one part. Now, for the sake of the discussion, even if he had not done all of these things and he was simply working towards building an enterprise, you really think he was on the right path there? Both cases, let's take that. So where did he truly err? He had so many things going. He was a smart guy. He could have made a living more than what he needed. Where did he go wrong? Yes, Shri Ramya.
Yes, Ramya ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Nitinji. I heard some news here and there when this incident happened, and me being from Andhra, and all this happening in Andhra, I heard that there was a lot of political stuff also. Like every time, like he had to get some land for Satyam or something, he had to pay a lot of bribe to the government officials or something. And at some point, I heard that he had to do all of the spending to pay some corrupt officials. And also, what I heard is at some point he refused to cooperate with them, or he didn't have enough money to pay. And at that point of time, he had to confess. But initially, it started with, like that paying those corrupt officials or something like that. This is what there were some talks. I don't know if that rumors or not or what. But at some point of time, what I feel is there was one mistake he would have done, maybe paying corrupt official or something. But to cover up that mistake, he had to do another mistake. Like the first step we discussed, 2 + 2 = 5. Maybe somewhere over there, initially only he might have confessed, but he thought that he could have come out of it easily. But he had to do more corruption, but he couldn't come out of the web, and that was when he confessed.
Yeah, Very true, and it's quite possible that there was a political angle to it as well, where they say you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours, and then finally that model collapsed, and he got it. But regardless what he was doing, there was a fundamental mistake that was happening all along there. So great point, Shriram. Let's hear from the other hands are raised as well. Let's hear from them as well.
Yes, Samji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe, like Ramyaji said, political corruption and all those things were there. Maybe he had the good intention in the beginning, but at the same time, at the beginning, then the Indian government and Indian officials, they kind of forced it to go into the bad thing. Unless he also was he got imbued by that one to make a quick buck also, but at the same time, by kind of forcibly also, it can be both ways. His intention was bad. He was the greed was forcing him to do it. At the same time, agni mein ghee dalne wala, Indian system corrupted him to some lot of extent. So it goes both ways.
Yeah.
In that shell.
Very true. Yes, Radhe Radhe, yeah. So it's like they say, right? If you do one good thing, it will lead you to another good thing. Unfortunately, it holds true for bad things also. You do one bad thing, it will lead you to another bad thing. So yes, and then it starts getting compounded for sure. Okay, anybody who wanted to add any another Sam G's there as well, we can quickly take, and then I'll move to the next slide, which is where we're going to spend a bit of time, because it is a very important concept and something that we can take away in our day-to-day lives and start having mindfulness around it. That is a key concept that I want to spend a good amount of time, because this is the concept that differentiates chalk from cheese, that differentiates saints from worldly people, that differentiates people who start mastering their senses and getting a better control over mind and intellect, as compared to people who play to the tunes of, or the dance to the tunes of their mind. Okay, yes. It's a very, very important concept that we can just hold on to it and start, mindfully practicing it as well. Maybe a couple of hands we can take, and then we'll go forward.
Yes, Samji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead. Yeah.
So I felt like he's very greedy for position and also for enjoying the material luxuries from what you have presented on the slide. That has driven him to go to any extent of even through getting them through illegal ways. That's
I
what
wouldn't have called him greedy if I had not seen 300 shoes, right, in his closet. So, but yeah, I mean, that's true. So look at it. He was amassing wealth, disproportionate wealth. Vivekanand said that anything more than what you need is poison. How much poison he had collected, and he kept on going. He kept on going, and he had such an intelligent mind, right? Could have done anything, no matter what he had. But something went wrong with it. Let's take maybe a couple more hands.
Yes. So Rahul ji has mentioned in chat, utilized his skill and talent provided by Shyam Sundar in wrong direction, accompanied by impure intentions.
Very true. Shakuni, look at Shakuni. He was a master genius. The kind of mindset he had, he was like super genius. But where did he put his mind? Intentions were obviously a little messed up. Yes, maybe a couple of more hands. Let's quickly.
Yes, Sandhya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, I think the fundamental mistake was where his mind was attached. I mean, I think it was in the material world. So if that was set right, then everything would have been right.
True. Good point, Sandhya. One more, and then we will continue. And we're going to have more discussion on that part.
Yes. Vignatha ji, I'm seeing this hand raised for the first time, so I'm
please go
trying
ahead.
to give chance to Vignatha ji.
Yeah, I've joined for the first time in the session today. So,
Radhe Radhe, welcome.
Welcome to the session.
Radhe Radhe, thank you. So what I feel is initially he would have had a very good intention for a person of that stature who has completed that level of education, who has put in that much effort into starting Satyam. He would have been a very good person at that point of time. But later, when he had started reaping the results, when he started enjoying the luxuries, he would have got too much involved into that. And he lost his track of the first intention which he has had when he has started Satyam. So he has achieved what he wants, but after that he could not maintain that level of persistence to take his goal forward in the right direction. He got dragged by the luxuries.
True.
I think that is the point.
So basically, he got corrupted. So the
Mhm.
bottom line is his intentions got corrupted. Right, that intention got diluted, and then obviously it will have all that effect. Now, if we step, why is it intention so important? So let's take, I can see a few more hands. So let will continue with this discussion. So you can chime in there. What basically on the path of spirituality, that's where we're going to have a bit of a discussion, and this is a very important concept. If there is one thing that you would pick up in your life, that would be purity of intention. It is our insurance policy. God tells us that it is quite possible that you may not be able to understand what would be God's will in this particular kind of a scenario, or what is my dharma in this kind of a scenario, or what is it that if I could consult God like Arjun could consult Krishna, what he would have told me to do in this kind of a situation. So God understands that part. So the only thing that we can exercise, and that is well within our power and influence, is exercising purity of intention behind every act that we do. It is our insurance policy. So Swamiji has written a book, Seven Mindsets. And I asked him this question: out of these seven, if there was one mindset that is of paramount importance, which one would that be? And he said purity of intention.
Yes.
This is how important it is. So everything that we do, if we can have that little check, why am I doing it? Do I really want to help somebody, or am I just want to put up a good face in front of somebody? Right? Am I really adding value here, or am I trying to impress somebody? Am I really trying to improve myself, or is it something else that I have that motive? Very small check. Once it starts becoming a habit, it is a very, very good tool to have under your armor. And it will really start purifying us from within, because now we are trying to align to what God expects from us. The best that we can do in a given situation, that is the purity of our mindset. Now, if it gets corrupted, that mindset, then the problems start happening, right? In fact, Maya Devi has not even started testing us as yet. When Maya Devi starts testing, not by giving us reversals, that is one way of testing. That is a grace of God, basically, when it starts giving us reversals, because that enables us to turn towards God. But Maya's testing can be pretty interesting. Bhukti can corrupt us. If somebody starts getting money, fame, power, and they have not built spiritual strength, it will corrupt them. For sure, our scriptures tell us. It will corrupt, because you need a lot of spiritual strength to be able to digest the levels of bhuktis possible. We have not even tasted bhukti properly as yet. And these bhuktis go all the way up to celestial abodes, all the way up to Brahmalok. If we start getting a lot of power, right, next day, everything in this world is at our command. We punch a button and people are like just obeying us. Now we just raise our hand and everything that we desire is coming to us. We have so much of power, fame, and people are swooning over us, craving for our autographs and clicking with all that stuff. Those are the things of bhakti. If those things start happening, it can corrupt anybody, scriptures tell us, unless you have really solidified tattva gyan in your head. That is the importance of it. So the stepping stone to that is to obviously have a solid sense of, now, where does the intention come from? Let's take a step back. We're talking about having pure intentions. Where is the intention coming from? Intention is coming from our value system.
Yes.
Where is the value system coming from? It is coming from our belief system. Where is the belief system coming from? It is coming from my mummy, papa, friends, dada, dadi, nana, nani, and Google. And obviously, it's a very shaky foundation. So unless it is backed with proper knowledge, which is leading to forming a good belief system, which leads to a good value system, which leads to a good intention, which is a breeding ground, right? Value system, something that doesn't align to our value system, we don't do that. It's very simple. Something which aligns to our value system, or we say, no, it's okay, it's chalta hai, then only you do something. And it all, you can trace it back to proper knowledge and proper understanding, proper contemplation that we have done on. That will lead to intention and an action as well. Finally, intention will translate into an action. It's a very simple thing. Ramalinga Raju, he wanted to become big, right? A lot of bucks and all that stuff. And then he formed that network of feeding politicians as a stepping stone or a means to an end and kind of a deal. And he kept on getting further and further entrenched into that until one day he was jailed and convicted and jailed in 2015. So that intention was not pure. I'll extrapolate this concept. Okay, obviously we don't need to get so deep, but think about it. I would say we cannot have pure intention unless it is related to God. You will say, come on, what are you saying? How are we going to operate in this world? But that is the goal. That is an ideal state. But practice would be start, building that consciousness slowly. Anything that we do in this world, good, bad, if your God is not there, it is an impure intention. Karam Yoga is saying purify your intention. It's just a process of purifying your intention. Karam Yoga is, if you think deeply about it, what is God telling us? Offer the fruits to me, do it as a service to me. If your direct corollary to that is start purifying your intentions. That intention is not, I will enjoy. I'm going to have a blast, after I my next bonus. He said, start purifying your intention and that will be helpful to you. Anyways.
Nitinji, I'm seeing a lot of chat messages coming up. I'm not sure if it will be possible for me to read all of them. There are a couple of them and very, very beautiful messages. Thank you all for sending. But I'll try to pick some of them. There are a lot of them though.
Sure, let's pick few of them.
So I'll pick, Urvi has sent the message. Everyone is searching for happiness. He thought money would buy him happiness. Fulfillment of his desires led to his greed, which has no end. It was his greed that shunned his mind. So his fundamental mistake was availability of incorrect knowledge or lack of correct knowledge, which led to greed. Maharaj Ji says, Jori jori bhai bhal dharahu, kroran ant kafan sang pega. I think if it isn't, yeah. Urvi ji.
Very nice, Urvi. Deep concepts, like always, very true. One thing leads to another, and that's where it all starts. So that purifying that our intention is the key. Yes, we can read a few more messages.
Yes, Venkatji has mentioned he had an attachment to one to support his son's company, and second, also attachment to be on the top position.
True. So that is where your intentions are becoming impurified, right? That is impure intention for myself, for my
myself. Yeah.
We spoke about that when we start catering to our senses and our body and the extensions of our body, which is my son, my family, my this and that, those are all binding karmas. They are impure karmas. They're actually, you're accruing karmic deeds because of that. And he just kept on fast tracking or accumulating karmic deeds at a pretty frantic pace because of all this stuff.
Surendra ji has mentioned false ego, corruption, lust, false ego, and corruption.
If you look at it, the Lord Krishna, the formula that he has given in 2.47 is essentially telling us to purify our intention behind every act that we do. See, he's such a wonderful teacher. He's giving you a concept and then telling you from a different lens, and it's all converging end of the day. Action in inaction that we spoke about, inaction in action, akaram, and then now getting to the intention part of it, right? So everything is converging. You just try to understand that concept is what he's asking us to do. And Karam Yoga is basically fundamentally asking us to start purifying our intention. No matter how big thing you do in this world, you can become a most proficient philanthropist in this world. You can associate yourself to a cause. You can start fixing problem of people around you. All that is good enough, but have you purified your intention? It is still not purified. Yes, it is a good intention, but it is not a purified intention because Shuddha Sattva is not tainted by any of the gunas. Shuddha Sattva is something divine. It is a Shakti of Swarup, it is a Shakti of God, divine power of God. That is what you are trying to attach to. So no matter what we do, the purified intentions would only happen when you start bringing God into the mix. Otherwise, you cannot purify your intention.
Yes.
So there is
Annapurna has also said that he lacked spiritual knowledge.
true. He did not have a mentor probably. And the other part of it is the knowledge that we have acquired, right? We said that intentions are born from our value system, which comes from our belief system, and belief system is shaped by what we think is important, because the knowledge that we have acquired is through our friends, peers, family members, relatives, grandfather and all that stuff. So, and Google possibly. So the yardstick of success, as he saw, for him, it was about making money and making it big. That was his definition of success in his life, which led to this compounding mistake, because his intention was not properly directed, and then one thing led to another, and we know what happened finally, right? And that is exactly what saints do differently. Their intentions are purified, so they're not incurring any sin, right? There's no question of incurring any sin or any binding karma because they're doing it as a service to God. So for us, the call from Lord Krishna is to start aligning to that principle, start taking your baby steps towards it, so that you start imbibing that consciousness, and it will lead to purification of our intentions as well. And the day our intentions are purified, our antakaran is purified, God is saying, okay, you have freed me up now to grace you. He's not whimsical where he can give it in free fund. Right? The soul says, right, there is an interesting debate that happens between God and soul, where soul says, you give me your grace and then I'll break all the Guinness records in Sharanagati. God says, you do Sharanagati, I'll give you all the grace. Soul says, no, you grace me and then I'll break all the records. God says, what is the guarantee I give you grace and you don't show me a thumb, right? So finally, you only have to become Sharanagat by purifying your antakaran, which will translate to purifying your intention and pretty much everything. And then God is willing to grace us. He's like, okay, I'm that father who's sitting on top of a gold mine and eager to share it with you. But then I cannot just share it for the sake of it, because first, you'll not be able to value it. Secondly, you may get spoiled like it happens in the material world as well. Okay, couple of other hands raised as well. Please fill out the attendance tracker in the meantime.
Yes.
And let's build on it. How can we purify our intention? I think we've been talking about that topic, or anything that we've spoken so far.
Yes. I posted a link of feedback tracker. Please go ahead and put in your questions, comments, and feedbacks. Kumarji, Radhe Radhe. Thank you for waiting. Yes.
Radhe Radhe, everyone. Yeah, I think the very simple, straightforward answer, we can have a lot of ifs and buts and all that stuff, politics and all those things. The main thing is greed and ego, right? He had lots of money. He had he had a big company, but he also had an ego, right? A huge ego, which he tried to make sure that, he could support the whole thing and then do whatever is needed. Now, he's not alone. He just got one of the folks who got caught, right? But I think, the basic thing is, it's been that case for, if you think of Vijay Mallya, Lalit Modi in IPL, because I am from Tamil Nadu, I know a few politicians as well, Jayalalitha. Of course, there are some people who don't get caught also, but it's all basically greed and ego, and they say, right, like power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Very true. Very true. True. And these imperfections happen, and that is why it's important to start subscribing to spiritual principles as early in life as possible, right? Because unless they have become your strong sanskars, it's a very, very slippery rope. very, very slippery road. Just imagine if God has to test you, what are how many carrots he can start dangling in your way. And God does that actually. In fact, in Bhagavatam, I was seeing that serial, Krishna, there was a beautiful song, small part of it I remember. It says, सोच समझ के सौदा कीजिए ये नंद का लाल बड़ा व्यापार. Okay, sorry about that. So it says that सोच समझ के सौदा कीजिए नंद का लाल बड़ा व्यापारी. So Krishna, he also starts his testing. Right now, his maid servant Maya itself can test us big time. Just imagine when the testing of Krishna would start. He can dangle so many carrots in front of us that unless our Tattva Gyan is solid, we can slip even there. And God wants to make sure that his entrance has to be the topmost entrance, right? Even in the world, people are not taken to elite colleges unless they have proven themselves. And here we are trying to clear the entrance of God. So we got to be really solid in our head here with the knowledge. Otherwise, there's too many things that can make us slip.
And implement the knowledge that we have. And one very good thing that you said, Nitinji, it doesn't strike immediately. We know God always gives a lot of problems for us to realize the truth, right? But at the same time, he gives us a lot of stuff as well, as you say, carrots, which people think, oh, okay, you know what, especially if it's done the wrong way, people think, hey, I'm doing well, so everything is good, right? And they still would choose adharma, which leads to a fall later on.
Good point. Yes, Kumar.
Thanks, Radhe Radhe.
Great, Radhe Radhe. All right, a few more hands. Let's hear from them.
Manoranjan ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
I just wanted to make a quick announcement before too late. So
yes,
is coming up next week, whole week, starting Wednesday, we will have sessions. The yoga gems, daily sessions from 9 to 10. There will be different set of CIC teachers who will be taking session on each day. We'll publish the schedule for that. I will be taking one the following Monday. And this slot would be taken up for those sessions. So just wanted to remind you that do sign up for that. I don't think you need to register as such, but yeah, if you register, it's good. We'll know the counts for that. Some amazing session speakers are coming up, so do avail that opportunity. And family camp, please do sign up if you've not already. It's very nominal. If you can attend online and take benefit from that. We are going to have Gopi Geet and Bhagavad Gita. Do not miss. It's a wealth of information that will be at the you can avail from the comforts of your home for a very nominal price. So do avail that opportunity. And that's pretty much it. I had anything else, Pallavi, you wanted to add before we can? And please fill out.
Yes, I'll take a quick moment to talk about Swamiji's tour, which is going on, Science of Happiness, Enlightenment Discourses. Swamiji will be in Connecticut from June 7th to June 12th. And there will be 6 days of a special yoga, meditation, and discourses. So whoever is near Boston area, New England area, please feel excited that we can go and meet Swamiji. So I'm very excited. Over the weekend, I'll be going to meet Swamiji and I'll be meeting all the devotees. I'm very excited. And whoever are in Boston and nearby area, please do not miss this opportunity to meet Swamiji.
Please do not. And you will get opportunity to meet Pallaviji as well. Okay, so both opportunities.
Pallaviji will get opportunity to meet all the devotees. And yeah, I can't contain my excitement. I'm so happy to go to meet Swamiji.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful. Please do avail this wonderful opportunities. Great. So, okay, so let's continue. Please do take out time to fill out the feedback tracker as well. And let's continue with our discussion. Quite a few hands are raised. So let's stick to 2-minute schedule so that we can cover all the hands.
Yes, I apologize sincerely. I'm not able to read all the chats. There are lots and lots of messages pouring in. And everyone is trying to put their thoughts about it. So thank you so much.
I'm going to
but yeah, time constraints. So we'll just go ahead.
In the feedback tracker, your comments, especially if they haven't gotten read here, I would love to read those.
Yes. This is Manoranjan Malik. Can I?
Yes, Manoranjan ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead. Yes.
Yes, Manoranjan ji, Radhe Radhe.
Yes.
Absolutely. So I'll just take you to just 1 minute. So I was listening to the discussion, and we were discussing about the purity of intentions. So Sant Kabir plays he says about this purity of intention in a brilliant way. He says that Nadi kinare mein khadi पिया मिलन को सोए मैं मैली पिया उजले मिलन के बिद होए कबीरा मिलन के बिद होए. Kabir says, I'm standing to get in touch with my beloved, but how it is possible? It is not possible because my beloved is pure and I am impure. Okay, unless and until I make myself pure, I cannot meet my beloved. So therefore, it is almost all our duty to make our intentions pure, make our living pure, make our signs pure, so that we get the purity and we mix with the purity. Just to end with, there is another doha, means how we can make ourselves pure. So there is a way. Kabir says that लाल तेरी लाल की जित देखो उत लाल लाल देखन में गई हो गई लालम लाल कबीरा हो गई लालम लाल. So again he says that how do you get pure? Associate yourself with purity, you will get pure. Thank you very much.
Beautiful, Manoranjanji, very true. Associate yourself with purity, and purity is in God and saintly personalities only. That is another aspect of it. So satsangs that we do, the time we spend in contemplating upon divine knowledge, and obviously our sadhana, when we have one-on-one with God and Guru, these are the things we should associate to reading, scriptural knowledge, contemplating upon it, watching videos, all that stuff contributes towards that. Beautiful point. Thank you so much, Manoranjanji. Okay.
Yes. Swati ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Swati ji.
Yeah, Radhe. What Swamiji says that charity begins at home. To be a good person, you can be starting. You cannot change others, but what we can do is like be a good person, have a good thought, keep always God in the mind, and slowly that will purify our intention and everything. So being good is what I have learned from him.
Mm-hmm.
That way we can purify our heart, and then slowly we can progress, because it will not start like immediately. Everything will not get changed. You get from past lifetime we have been impure. So to purify it, first be a good person, keep good thoughts, think good about others, try to do whatever good you can do, and intention should be good behind doing every action. And thinking of God, everything if you offer to God, and keep God in for every intention. Like, I'm doing this work for God. Whatever, if you keep like that, then slowly impurity will get diminished, and then purity will come in your heart. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Yes, beautiful point, Swatiji. So baby steps we have to take, and we have to devise our own game plan. Once the why is clear, whatever works for us. But the thing is, we have to exert ourselves and do it mindfully, because mind will take us to our bad habits or the lower nature, even without us realizing it. So we have to be mindful. That Sakshi Bhav is very important in order to progress spiritually, and have a one-on-one with yourself to the end of the everyday. Maharaji says a very beautiful tip. He says, every night before you go to sleep, think about where all you erred today. What are the mistakes that happened today and where you could have done differently. And every morning, just have that introspection before going to sleep. This situation happened. Maybe I could have done it differently. Anger again came. This is where I felt this way. I could have, why did that thought arise in my mind while dealing with that person? So have that introspection. And when you wake up next day, again, take a resolve. Today, I'm going to, make sure or try to do my best in terms of these 4 or 5 things. Not get upset, not harbor bad sentiment about anybody, not to look at others' faults, and then again revise it before going to sleep. Hey, I again fell on this part. So when we keep on repeating that practice, over time it will start getting better. Something that cannot, so that mindfulness is very important before going to sleep and waking up. You start reminding them, and within a month you'll start seeing changes. God is going to help us. It will give you a knock. Next time that thought will come, it will say knock, knock, and then we'll start getting better.
Thank you, Nitinji. Sumeshji has mentioned we can purify our intentions through the satsang.
Yes, very true. Satsang is a very, very powerful tool. And we have our weekly satsang on Sundays, by the way. So if you like bhajan kirtans, simply tune in at 10:30 every Sunday, and we have beautiful bhajans going on. And then retreats, you get a ample amount of dose of bhajans and kirtans. Okay, so nothing like it. If you can make one of the retreats, I'm telling you, you'll love that experience, and you'll say, I need just more and more of it. I don't want to come back. It's a great way to absorb your mind, in divine, not only knowledge, but contemplation as well.
Annapurna ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yes, I think that you always have to do mantana, that that you are a soul. I think that helps, that you are part of God, and you are misusing the divinity that he has given you to be, given you the body, mind, and intellect. The more you contemplate that you are mind, and you have to please God, because you are fragment of him, energy, part of his energy. I think that really helps you to check each and every thought that arises in you, before you take action on it. Purity of intention, what I'm doing, is this favorable, is this pleasing to God, is this what my soul wants? Soul is happy with peace and prayer and such things. So you have to evaluate all your actions, thinking that you are a soul. Radhe Radhe.
Very good point, Annapurna. Very true. And the reason we are not able to have that conception that we are a soul is because we have so many layers of imperfections, anger, greed, envy. It's just like a mountain lake. When it is still and it is clear, you can see the bottom. When it is convoluted, muddled, you cannot see the bottom. And same is the problem with us as well. We are a soul, we know that, but realization is not there. The more purer we start getting, the more the realization will start deepening as well. Yes.
Yes, Surinder ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead. Thank you for
Radhe Radhe Prabhu. All the discussion is very good. I only wanted to say or to ask whether punishing the offender, it can be by the judge, it can be by the mob, it can be by the immediate reaction. If somebody is hit and the pillion rider gets angry on the person who has hit. Now, all these acts, are they pleasing to God?
Pleasing to God. So see, if you are in your profession demands it, yes, you're dispensing your duty as per your professional needs. So you think God will not like if an executioner is doing his job? It's his job. It's his profession. He has to cut people's necks. That's his job profile. And if somebody has to, like judge has to pronounce an order against a criminal, if they're doing their duty without attachment as a service to God to the best of their abilities, of course it will be pleasing to God. That's the only reason, nothing else.
The mob reaction is not pleasing to God.
Mob reaction is what? It is born out of hatred, right? Excitement.
Immediate reaction.
Yeah, so that is not impulsive. No, of course not. God is saying, and anything that has to be done mindfully. If you're doing it with a sentiment of hatred towards somebody, bitterness towards somebody, anyway, it is a sin. You've already incurred a binding karma there.
Thank you, dear.
Yeah.
Radhe Radhe, Payalji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Payalji.
Yes, Radhe Radhe. So, say for example, if an exam is going on, right, and a teacher is there in front of a student, and the student will not even attempt to cheat, correct? So similarly, if we continue to remind ourselves that, as Maharaji says, that he is sitting here in our heart, and this will refrain us from committing any of the sins. So this is what my takeaway from today's session. Yes, thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Beautiful realization, Payalji. In fact, there's an interesting story of this guy who used to say Thakurji. So when we say Thakurji, we worship. If Thakurji is with you all the times, right, evident in front of you, you'll anyway line up your activities in accordance. This is the wrong conception of privacy that we have that leads us to do all the 400 BC. We think our thoughts are our own thoughts. We have no clue God and Guru are noting each and every. So that is why it said we have to practice that we are not lonely. We have God and Guru always. So this is the practice, one of the sadhana, where you think he's both my witness as well as my protector. Witness and protector. He's with me, he's watching me. So if we keep on deepening this understanding, then obviously all the wrongdoings will start taking a backseat, because we'll always have, okay, I'm not alone. It's not my private thoughts alone. So even that thought of cheating that came to my mind, I need to refrain from it, because I didn't get an opportunity, but that thought came, that itself is recorded. So yes, that practice will help us. But beautiful realization. Thank you for sharing that, Payalji. Very true. And that is what sadhana is.
Thank you, Nitin.
Always think that God and Guru are watching you and they are with you.
Wow, beautiful concept. Kumarji has also put this message in chat: doing the right thing when no one is watching.
Doing the right thing when no one is watching. Very true. Managers and leadership, they say, right? Managers do right, and leaders do the right things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, Ashaji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Rightly you said, Nitinji, the value system is the main thing. And then all this Charvak philosophy is followed by a person when one grows up. तो बच्चों के लिए और ये हमारी और टीचर्स की ज्यादा जिम्मेदारी बनती है कि बच्चों को जो बिगड़ गए सो बिगड़ गए, मगर अभी जो हमारे हाथ में है न्यू जनरेशन को हम ये वैल्यू सिस्टम दे, और इसके लिए हम जो भी करना चाहें कर सके. दूसरी बात, आई वांटेड एक्सप्लेनेशन ऑफ दोज वर्ड्स. Vishnu is Kshirodakshai and Krishna is Karanodakshai, if I am not wrong. क्षीर सागर में सोए हुए विष्णु मैं हर बार सुनती हूँ बचपन से. तो वो क्षीर का अर्थ तो दूध होता है, मिल्क. तो मिल्क के सागर में सोए हैं तो वो मिल्क निर्मल होता है, तो निर्मल मन में विष्णु सोए हैं. प्लीज क्लैरिफाई दिस concepts, Nitin ji.
Asha ji, I'll get it in another session. Kshirodakshai, Garbhodakshai, Karanodakshai, ये सब विष्णु है, Krishna is separate. I'll get into that concept once again in detail.
Yeah, thank you.
Kshirodakshai जो है वो भी विष्णु है, जो क्षीर सागर में है, आप सही कह रहे हैं. But I'll go into that concept so that I can talk about all the plenary expansions of Krishna and how and Brahma ji kahan se aate hain, Shankar, Vishnu, Mahesh, all that will go into detail. I have done that in the past, but we'll do it again.
Thank you.
हिंदी में अनुवाद किया, इस बात की हमें असीम प्रसन्नता है.
Thank you so much.
धन्यवाद. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Asha ji. Ramya ji, last but not the least, I see your hand raised. Thank you for waiting.
Yes, Shreya ma'am.
Thanks, Pallavi ji. Radhe Radhe. Nitin ji, I had a small question and a request. Can we take up another case study in future classes? There is this Coffee Day founder Siddharth Hegde also, and even he was being turmoiled by the politicians. He was supporting the opposing party and all, and finally, very successful. Cafe Coffee Day is favorite place since my college days, and he ended up committing suicide. What went wrong? But he was very true, honest and all, but he got into a debt. Can we in future classes have a contrast with this? And because I see that if we are doing the right things also, we are still bearing this, and what is wrong? Is it just intentions or anything else?
Sure, we can do that. I mean, it's a good suggestion, recommendation. And I've been told that Shri Ramya is going to help me on that. She's going to bring out some nice case studies with the points which do not make sense in context of that case study. And then we are going to do a joint presentation in one of the sessions. So I look forward to that, Shri Ramya. Thank you very much.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah, please bring it up. I think it'll make for a good discussion, especially some of the things that we see around which do not make sense, right? And people then think that why do good things happen to bad people, or bad things happen to good people, or bad people keep on enjoying, good people keep on. These concepts are very common and prevalent in this world, and we can keep on bringing them from time to time and map it to the teachings of Bhagavad Gita and scriptures. Great point though. Thank you.
Yes. Sushila ji has mentioned in chat it's greed and ego. And also she has mentioned, thank you. I love this session.
Okay, thank you. I forgot the name, sorry.
Sushila.
Thank you so much. Sushila ji, please coming and please keep getting your friends and family as well. So we do have a wonderful group, and we've just started. I would say that at least 5 more years to go. Okay.
Yes, Urviji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Actually, I had a question that during exam time, it many times happens that people want you to show them your answers. So two thoughts come to me, that if I show it to them, maybe they'll not fail and their year won't be wasted. And then I think if I show it to them now, they'll expect it again and not study. So I'm not really able to understand what would God want me to do in this case.
I didn't have the benefit of the profound understanding that you have at this young age. So I would not only show, but look as well, okay? Because I remember in my mechanical final exam, and I was horrible in my engineering. And especially in engineering drawing, you won't believe it. Mechanical engineer not knowing engineering drawing. So my seniors told me, again, that was the knowledge I was not getting from scriptures, I was getting from my seniors. So they said, you don't have to worry about this particular exam. So I said, why I don't have to worry? He said, you drop your pencil and look at what the next person is doing who's sitting next to you. Then you drop your rubber and look at the person who's sitting behind you. And that's it. 2 questions you need to crack and you're done. I said, wonderful. That's a shortcut, I'm going to apply. So I sit in the exam, I drop my pencil, and this guy is looking at my sheet, okay? I drop my rubber, that guy is also looking at my sheet. I said, okay, my fate is sealed now. They were relying on me. But the point here is, if we are helping somebody, let's say, help them pass, are we truly helping them? Michael Jordan said the worst thing that he did in his life was he started sharing his wealth with his relatives and people around whom he thought are needy and could benefit from it. But over time, he realized that he actually capped their potential also. Because what they would have done otherwise, they did not do because they got it all on a platter. So the right thing is to encourage them to work, because it's not a good thing, right? Cheating is not a good thing. Stealing is not a good thing. Lying is not a good thing. So it's better to do that for the sake of friendship and all that stuff. I know the kind of dharam sankat you might be feeling at times as well, and even within you, right? Let me help this person. But actually, you need to tell them that this is something you have to do, because it will become a tendency for them, right? And you're not really helping their cause, and they would resort to taking shortcuts in life. So in so many ways, you are capping their potential. And if they have to exert in life, that will be a good skill to have. God loves when we exert, when we do hard work, not try to take shortcuts in life. So if you are truly interested in their welfare, you will not do that. That is how I see it, because you're really not helping them, right? So, I mean, that's my 2 cents on it. So.
Beautiful explanation. Thank you, Nitin. Very nice. I saw Sam Ji hand raised. Now she has put her hand down. So I'll take Lakshmi Ji.
I answered her question as well because I spoke so long.
All right, Lakshmi Ji.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Like you said, that accident case. So suppose that guy who was accused and got some manipulation, and but he couldn't win the case and he was punished. Suppose some 10 years jail or something. But the family responsibility, what he has, for that, if he does odd manipulations and got out of the case, freed from the case, and he does other work like taking care of family and all other the duties he has to be performed. So is that first person is right or the second person is right?
I don't know what Chitragut, how algorithm works in this kind of a case, because at the end of the day, it boils down to your intention, right? But if you have killed somebody, obviously you cannot escape karma. So you might have delayed the inevitable, but karmic law will catch up with you. Material law might have given you a long rope.
Okay.
Things can happen, but karma will catch up with you. How will you escape that? Right? So, but yeah, so I don't know how that will work out in the court of God. The point here, if you have incurred a sin knowingly, intentionally,
Not intentional. That's an accident happened. Not intentional. Yeah.
the God laws will prevail. It goes by intention. Your intention. That is what at least scriptures tell us, because God notes our intention, not the actual act. But conversely, somebody can get convicted even though he might not have done it intentionally, right? Those kind of things can happen. So that might be because of his prarabdha, he was supposed to go through that, or it could be bad. Because this world, right?
Yeah. One more point. I had chat the message, but I think there's no time for that. This fame, name, and that luxury, like success, money, all will make two directions. One direction is the self-satisfaction, and you'll be happy with that, and the other direction, greed, and go in the wrong direction.
Nobody's happy. Okay, if you think you're happy, you will be happy. Scriptures are telling us no. So this is the beauty of our scripture.
Why?
They don't make you second guess. You may think, I don't have it, but if I were in their position, I would have been satisfied. But scriptures tell us no.
Yes.
Scriptures tell us no. You will keep shifting your goalposts around it.
Okay, so that satisfaction doesn't come once we get all the things. So you become greedy.
You become greedy, and in fact, if that was the case, then the most wealthiest people in the world would have been the most happiest, right? That's not the case. Look at Bill Gates.
No, not all the persons. There's some who is acknowledged in a right pathway with the success may not be landing in a greedy thing.
I don't know. Scriptures tell us not possible. If you land up in that situation and tell me, no, by the way, I'm not greedy, then we can talk about it. Say human instincts take over. Unless you have really spiritually advanced to that level, that thing will come in your mind. Have you seen any people stop, even though they have become billionaires? Right? Jeff Bezos, what is worrying him right now is that the other person has gone to the moon before him. So these people keep on.
Okay.
Their desire never stops. Our scriptures tell us, even if people get everything that this universe has to offer, the desire will still not stop. That is how powerful it is.
Okay. Okay. Right. Thank you.
Okay, real quick now. I know we are way over time, so 1 minute each maybe, and then we'll wrap up. We are way over time.
Radhe Radhe. Yeah, I think there were a lot of questions, right? One is, someone wanted to copy something, which I have done this in one of my exams. I gave after I finished my exam, which I finished in half the time, I wrote down the answers and gave it to another person. Very happy to do that and all that stuff. And the professor, well, actually the teacher, this was in school, he eventually caught me. And then he dragged me and the guy who was copying straight to the principal, and the principal slapped me, not the other guy. So that was a good lesson for me, that what I thought was a very nice thing to do was really not the nice thing to do. Like initially, of course, I was pretty upset, but later on I realized that that's not the right thing to do. You should not help people in a wrong way. Teaching them is a different thing, but not copy. Same way, like when you keep on earning money, I have realized it. Well, I'm not fully realized, but still I know that material happiness is not everlasting happiness, right? It's just like having one rasgulla, second rasgulla, third rasgulla, you don't want it. So it's like either you get greedy, or if you don't, you keep on getting something and you don't get something, you get angry on it. Except when you just turn towards God, there is no other way. I don't see any other way. I don't think anyone would see any other way, because there's no other way we can do that. Again, there was one person who said that, like, have God in your mind when you do things. This is what I try to do generally, and it has always helped me. Now I have this picture of Sri Krishna, which is from J.K. Yoga. It's a beautiful, smiling Krishna, not the young Krishna, but the older Krishna. And the problem is, whichever angle I look, he's looking at me. And when I put him in my room, I cannot do anything wrong. He just pulls me there. I'm like, okay, it's really funny in a way. But I'm very happy with that, right? Because I cannot do anything wrong. Even if I think suddenly I'm getting really irritated with this person, he calms me down. Just like when I come to all these sessions, right? It calms me down. So I think every question that we have, there was one person who was asking about coffee day or cafe day, whatever this one. See, that person again had an ego. He got caught with problems and then he committed suicide. Committing suicide is a sin as well, right? If he had just accepted and then, taken the punishment, that would have been much better if he had been the spiritual path. But these people have a lot of ego. They don't want to lose their name and fame and all that stuff. Again, each person, it's their own journey. But what I would say is, at the end of the day, you ask your own conscience. It will give you the right answer. You don't have these questions at all. You have the answers for it. You ask your conscience. That's what I think. That's what I do. And then I have the answers on all these issues, and we should, I'm so fixed in this that material happiness will not give you eternal happiness. It will just pull you down in some way or the other. For me, God has given me a lot of problems to solve, and I'm grateful for it now because he has pushed me towards this side.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Very good points, Kumarji. And there's a technical difference the reason for why we won't get satiated no matter what we get, because we are divine, and what we are trying to get satiation from is material. So that is why desire will never be satiated until we have reached that point. So it's very simple. No matter where you are, you'll still feel something is missing. Something is missing. I need a little more. And that quest will continue until we become God realized, because we are divine. Until we get divinity, we will not be satisfied. And I like your example of Krishna, looking at you wherever you are going. And I can't believe Krishna's luck, right? He gets to follow you wherever you go. So, which is very beautiful. Okay. We are down to, I think we are done for the day. Then tomorrow we will do a recap of chapter 4, all the shlokas that we have done for this week, and maybe a bit of polls and questions just to test your knowledge on some of the concepts that we have spoken about. Let's do our closing prayers. And who wants to take the lead today? Tuck, 3 more hands. Okay, we can.
Today, Ashutosh ji should get the chance.
All right.
Yes.
Please go ahead, Ashutosh ji. You got the privilege today.
Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Shantu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukh Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you, everybody, for a wonderful session, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day and a great rest of your evening.
Thank you so much, Nitin ji, for such an awesome session. Thank you, all of you, for wonderful participation. And have a blessed day. Have a blessed night. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.